All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this little bonus episode. Bonus episode
Bonus
of
episode.
the Revenue Agency Podcast. I'm back with Ryan Hall.
Yo, yo.
I am Brittney Hall. We are married. and we're just having some fun creating some podcasts for you guys today. Ryan and I love to talk about just different subjects. And, I wish I had a camera on us all the time or a microphone because we have some of the best conversations. And then we're like, we really need to this should be a podcast. Like we get like real fired up about stuff. But Ryan's going to kick us off with a quote to kind of set the stage for us today.
Okay. Teddy Roosevelt, who was a United States president, for those who don't know, said, in any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing. The worst thing you can do is nothing. So what I take from that, and we see it so much in the business world, is just make a freaking decision.
Just do something.
Do anything.
For the love of God, do something.
Just decide and go.
Yeah.
I can't say everything, but I will say most things, especially in business, is not permanent or ultimate, or you can't change it. It's like, just decide. Like, if it works, great, fantastic. If it doesn't, don't do it again. But the worst thing I think we see is just indecision, indecisiveness, waiting around, fretting.
Yeah.
You name it, right? But it's like, we're trying to move this thing forward. Just make a decision.
Yeah. We see people do it in life all the time too. I mean, Ryan and I sold our beautiful home on quite a few acres in Oregon. Gorgeous. It was our dream. And I've talked about it a lot on different platforms, and Ryan and I have, but people couldn't believe that we were just going to sell it and move. And like, there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes that people don't see. But that was a really hard decision to make. Not even the decision to move. I think just getting all the things in line. And I remember that I asked Ryan when we bought a house in Texas off a video because we had to we didn't have time to come down here and travel and buy it and check them out. The market was moving too quick. And I told Ryan, but what happens if we don't like the house? Because I really like to love my house. And he goes, we'll sell it and buy another one. And guess what? We lived in that house for a year and a half, stumbled upon a house that was such a better fit for our family, sold it, bought another one. Like, nothing is permanent in life. But I love too, Rye, that you started off talking about business because, man, people have a tough time with the simplest shit. It's going to be really hard for you to build a big business and make a ton of money if you can't even fucking decide on should I, hire this person or not hire this person? That's kind of maybe a bigger decision, but or should I use StreamYard or Zoom? Who gives a shit? Pick one. They both work great. If you decide you don't like one, try the other. It's not going to determine your success. What will determine your success is how freaking long it takes you to make these decisions. Boom, make a decision, move on. We worked with a guy that would say, there's a book about it called Blink or something, but basically as quick as you can blink, what's the first decision that you would make? And I remember he would ask me because I advised him on a lot of stuff, and he'd go, okay, well, what's your first initial reaction? It was I always knew. So that's the thing is you usually know right away what the right decision is for you, but then you get into your head and you go, well, but, and then you start making all these concessions and just questioning yourself and your intuition. And then you get completely stuck.
What's that thing I have where I have a gut feeling, but then my head?
Oh,
yeah. What is that?
Design chart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So your channels are disconnected between your gut and your head. Okay. So yeah, human design is very interesting. It's probably out there for people who are what the hell are you talking about? But it's basically everybody has a human design that falls into one of 5 categories, overarching categories. But then there's a lot of intricacies to it, depending on when you were born, etc. So Ryan's, he really should listen to his gut instinct. But what happens is he gets a gut instinct, but then he pauses and he goes into his logical brain because that center is lit up for him. And then he'll start analyzing it and thinking and thinking and thinking, where I don't necessarily have that. So I probably should stop and think more, which is a good thing why you and I are married. But yeah, But I have to remind you of that sometimes because you're like, oh crap, I'm getting into my head.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I mean, everybody listening is probably going to have something different. Brittney has no trouble. Sees something, likes it, buys it, moves on. Like, that's it.
Never thinks about it again.
And probably 95 or more percent is exactly what she wanted. So, like, if I did that, I might in a year or 2 months or whatever go, I really should have done it. She doesn't think that way. So that's one extreme. Another extreme is somebody who just thinks and stews and mulls and frets and is up in the middle of the night and prays about it and thinks on it, and is, so that's the complete opposite extreme. But I want to challenge you, if you're this way, to like over here where you just think and think and think and think. Just make a couple decisions. And it isn't like, well, I'm going to sell the house and buy a Ferrari. It's probably not that. It's like, something else more minimal. And to the person like Brittney, because there's definitely going to be some of you on here, maybe feel what you want and think, but then just like pause for a second and think about it and say, well, what if this, what if that, and then make a decision. So like, this is a little bit of a challenge for you to question how you're internally designed.
I disagree with that. I'm just kidding. Well, I mean, I think it's like interesting when somebody can't even decide if they want to buy a $40 shirt or not. It's like, is spending $40 going to ruin your life?
Or where are we going to go to dinner? I can't, where do you want to go?
I don't know. It's like, you're going to eat again in freaking 5 hours. Like,
it doesn't matter. You're going to eat in 4 hours.
Who cares?
Doesn't matter.
I think that's like, honestly, a lot of that resistance to make decisions or procrastination. I honestly think it's like a trauma response from like childhood or making decisions and maybe it not working out well. Like, I have also made decisions where I'm like, well, that didn't fucking pan out the way I wanted, or had an idea for something and did it and maybe nothing came of it. And like, if I wanted to get into that shame cycle, I'm sure I could, but I choose not to live my life there. Like, what good is that going to do me? It's like, well, did I learn something? Yes. I think that is actually the key, Rye. Now that I say that, is like, is learning. Like, we are not like, that's why it's really important to let your kids make certain decisions, not decisions that are going to fuck up their whole life or like get them hurt, but like give them little freedoms, like little bits, so that they can take in information, make decisions, and then you still have time to help them pivot and learn. Because if you're like making all these decisions and telling your kids what to do, when they're out on their own, they're going to have a really freaking hard time trying to like figure out and navigate the world. Like, Ava told me something yesterday. I forgot to tell you this. She's like, I'm going to tell you this. She's like, I cheated on this test. I go, oh, you did? I go, how did you cheat? Like, what method? Like, I've cheated on a test. I'm sure you've cheated on a test. We've all cheated on a test. And she's like, I've only done it once and I've never done it again. And I go, oh, well, that's good. Like, but like, I'm as her mom, here's the deal. I could come down on her and be like, we don't cheat and blah, 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 all this stuff. But I was like, well, I cheated on tests. Sometimes, not all the time. I was a great student, but like there was sometimes where I was like, shit, I do not know this answer. And you're gonna do like, what's my friend got on their paper, But what I loved more is that she felt that she could tell me about it, because a lot of people are like scared of their parents, right? And they don't want to even tell their parents that they made a mistake. Because I think that's where a lot of these adults that have indecisiveness, where it comes from, I am going to land the plane, I promise, is from their parents maybe being so controlling or making a decision, it didn't work out, and then somebody being really awful to them about it. And then it's like, you're so scared to make another decision. Like, Rye, like I have to give you credit because I think we've really grown out of it. We've been married 15 years now. I used to blow money on stuff and I was not even aware.
We've gotten past that?
I think so. You remember when we were first married and I would be like, I don't know what happened to the money. But like, you never, ever like freaked out at me and were like, how could you do this? Or blamed me, because then I would probably not feel safe having conversations with you about our finances. And like, I'm sure you had to like, that was a hard pill to swallow, because it was at a time where I wasn't really making a lot of money. You were making all the money for our family. And it was like, how do we have, like, what happened here? But I remember that we had conversations and We both took personal responsibility. And you're like, I wasn't paying attention either, you know? But I think that that's just huge, because if you're in relationships with people, think about husband and wives or parents and kids, and somebody's just beating you over the head with the decision you made, you're like, humans are very conditional. Like, they're not going to want to make any decisions again because something bad might happen.
Or they're going to want to hide it.
Yeah, or hide it. Yep, and lie.
Like that too, where it's like, well, I want to do what I want to do, but I'm just going to hide it so nobody finds out.
Yeah.
And it isn't anything illegal. It's not like, doing drugs or whatever, but it's just like little silly things where it's like, well, hold on.
It's like, they might not be happy with me, so I don't want to tell them I did it. It's like, whose life are you living?
It's like, if you want to do it, do it. If somebody's not happy with it, that's their problem. Right?
Yeah.
Like, don't take that on you. Like, if I make a decision and somebody else doesn't like it, what do I care? Like, what do I care if they're unhappy? I can't make them happy or unhappy. Like, that's on them. Or if they're offended, that's on them. That's not on me. Like, be offended.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's really interesting because you see adults that like have like almost childlike behaviors, or like just feel like controlled by people in their life. And I think that that's really where all of that like indecision comes from. But I also think, like, I mean, you and I are probably bad because we are such strong people. Like, I'm a very strong woman. Ryan is a very strong man. Most people don't realize that like Ryan is very much like the leader of our family, even though I'm extremely strong, but he also has a lot of respect for me. Wouldn't you say, right? Like, we respect each other a lot.
Yeah. She's more of the outspoken half of our relationship. I definitely have plenty to say, but she just talks more.
But, you see people sometimes that, like, I've seen it a lot, where people are complaining and they're really like victimizing themselves. And I don't mean like victimizing themselves in something where they truly were the victim, because that stuff exists. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like, well, they told me that I had to do this and blah, 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 and they pressured me, blah, blah. It's like, okay, you're an adult. You have to take ownership of your life. You are in charge of you. And you either allowed it to happen, didn't speak up. Like, there has to become a point in your adult life where you go, wow, I have to take accountability for what my life is right now. Like, if you're freaking in your late 20s, 30s, 40s, you can't blame your parents anymore. Like, that's over. Like, you cannot do that. Like, just shut the fuck up about it.
60s, 70s.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're still broke because your parents didn't help you when you were 18, but you're 40 now? Like, you've had like 22 years of life to freaking figure it out. Like, no, we don't get to blame your parents in this. This is on you, So I don't know how we got on that. I know we were talking about making decisions, but I just got
making decisions. And I think it would be good for all of us thinkers to just kind of tune into your gut, right? Because yes, you might think about it, but I bet you have an initial gut feeling on which way you should go.
Yeah.
Maybe try going with your gut, see what happens. Maybe fire the person. Maybe hire the person, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think it's always, there's a difference between acting out of like emotion, because emotions are just indicators, they're not fact. And then acting out of like a gut instinct that just is there and doesn't go away. Because emotions are fleeting, they change, right? Like all the time. But then there's like that gut instinct where you're like, this just feels right for me. Like, that doesn't usually change. I believe that's our conscience. I believe that tells us what we're aligned with. And I believe, my personal belief is that that's God. Like, that is how he is like trying to partner with you in decisions that you're making in your life. Like, Ryan and I very much knew that us moving to Texas was like, people go, why'd you move? I'm like, God, like, I don't know how else to describe it. But it was like, we knew, like, I don't even know how it all came about, but it was like these timed conversations and these feelings that we were having and the stuff that was going on in our life. And we just felt like this was what we needed to do. And 100% it was. It doesn't mean that everything was perfect or easy or it wasn't really hard, but we knew in our gut that that was the right decision.
Well, and I really believe that if you keep pushing towards something and it's not supposed to happen, God's not going to let it happen.
Yeah.
But keep pushing. And for sure, if it's not supposed to happen, there's nothing on earth that will make it happen, right? Yeah. But if you're like, I'm unsure, I'd really like to do it, just keep pushing towards it. And either a door will open or a door will close. And we really believe that. And so that's pretty much how we run our life, to be completely honest.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
It's like I mean, if you would have written down pros and cons for us, because I mean, we keep going back to this, but it was kind of a big decision in the last 5-6 years of our life. Pros and cons versus us staying where we were or us moving, selling everything and moving. We should have stayed.
Totally. Yeah.
But we're not worried about what it looks like on paper.
Yeah.
We just kept pushing forward on this is what we want. This is what we want our life to look like. And it can't look like that where we're at. So we're just going to keep pushing towards what we think we want. And the doors just kept opening.
Yeah.
Like we bought a house online that I don't even think it was on the market, was it?
I think there was a funny thing where our realtor was like, I know y'all didn't look at this. Like, we didn't even look at that neighborhood. And she was just like, sorry, notifications popping up on my computer. She was like, hey, my friend's a realtor and like, she's had this listing for a while. I bet we could get like a good deal on it, but like, it just kind of like came to us. It wasn't a house that we were like, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I think that works for what we need. Let's do it. The other thing that I was going to say, too much talking today. I got to drink some water.
Well, I think that's like these doors that continue to open.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like there's, I don't believe in coincidence. Like Brittney was talking a second ago. I believe it's God. So
yeah,
doors will continue to open. And you're like, it's so funny when we look back on all these things, we're like, oh, well, this shouldn't have happened because of X, Y, and Z, but then these 2 or 3 things happened, which shouldn't have. And here we are.
Yeah. I know what I was going to say. Cause we've obviously talked about our move to Texas. I know we could probably do like 2 days of a podcast on that. Just breaking down all the pieces of that. But also I would say the most recent thing is we've left a couple companies and I've talked about it kind of, here and there about stuff, but I will just reiterate the last place we had a great salary. It was close to home, went into the office a couple days a week. But there was just things that like weren't in alignment. And it wasn't even necessarily with the company. It was about like, they paid us really well. Like we were so appreciative. They treated us well. But there was just some things where we were like, I don't think this is like the future that we want. Like this isn't pushing us in the direction that we want to go. And we just kept knowing like, okay, we know we need to work for ourselves. Cause I kept trying to change the culture in places that we were in the last couple companies, like make it how I thought it should be. But it was like, that's not really fair either to the owner because it's not my company, even though I think this would make it better for everybody. But I very clearly cleared God in my head, say, you go create the company that you want to work for. You go create it. And we just kept feeling these nudges and these things would happen where it was like making the situation more uncomfortable. But we were like, but the money's good. And so like, we also had to learn, like, just because the money seems good, that's not the reason why you should stay. You need to like go serve this like bigger purpose that you're here for. And we knew that was to go create the revenue agency. And it was really uncomfortable because when you go out and you go, okay, great, I'm going to bet on myself, I'm going to make a business. Guess what? After you get paid your last paycheck, that's it. We were like, oh shit, that was the last one. Now we got to go figure out some stuff, and like, hopefully things are planned, you have some money saved or whatnot, but like, you got to get out there and hustle. And so that's really freaking uncomfortable. You don't know if anybody's going to want to do business with you. It's like, well, shit. So, but it was also a thing where we were like, we wanted to be home with our kids. I hated that whole summer that I had to go into an office 3 days a week. I freaking hated it to my core. Not because the job was bad. It had nothing to do with the job. It's like, I'm not in alignment with not being able to be with my kids, and pick them up from school and hang out with them during the summer and all of that. It was just like, it was horrible for me, like as a mom. So now I know, like, that's not something I ever want to do ever again. So it just goes back to that gut feeling and that alignment.
Mm-hmm. And we are both aligned to be entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
We have no problem betting on ourselves. And that doesn't mean everybody needs to be an entrepreneur. I gave the whole, I think I gave the whole Jim Carrey story in the last podcast, and it was really bet on yourself. That doesn't mean sell everything and go all in on a company. Like, that's not for everybody. We have a lot of people that are extremely successful and they've worked their way up to a great position in a company. And I think they're super happy. So that isn't just like throw caution to the wind. But definitely like listen to what your gut's telling you.
Yeah. It's really important. It's always served us. I would never give advice that I wouldn't take. But I see people that really struggle with making big decisions. And I think that, like we said, there's a lot of maybe trauma or resistance attached to making decisions. I also think sometimes it's having a supportive partner. I think we talked about that in the last podcast, is like having like a great foundation in a marriage is key, because no matter what happens, you and I are like in it together. You're not going to blame me. I'm not going to blame you. Like, we are going to freaking figure it out, make it work for our family. So I think that's part of the magic, you know? Well,
Okay.
this has
Well,
been fun.
hopefully this has been informative and
Informative.
maybe entertaining.
Oh my
And
God.
you can move the ball down the field.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
See ya.